Did you know that our mind is like a classification machine? We constantly try to identify and classify the things that our senses come across. Of course, we also do that with the music that we listen to. Let's do a small, simple exercise. We're going to listen to 3 short music clippings, and when you listen to them, can you figure out what genre or what kind of music each of them is? So did you figure it out? The interesting part of this exercise is not the answers themselves, but how you arrived at the answers. Even if music has no words, can you tell if something is, say, Indian music in general or a specific genre like Carnatic or another one? If so, how do we actually do that? One of the features that makes us feel that, at least in the context of Indian music, is ornamentation. So, what is ornamentation? To put it simplistically, ornamentation is how a note or phrase gets sung. The ornamentation could be in the form of an oscillation between 2 pitches, or it could be like a glide from one note to another, or a certain type of emphasis that is given to a note or a phrase. You can think of ornamentation like an accent. It lends a unique color to the melody and also gives you clues about its origin. In Indian music, ornamentation is an essential and inseparable part of the melody. We don't think of melody as like a bunch of notes on top of which ornamentation is slapped onto, right? Ornamentation is an integral part of the melodic identity itself. If you strip the melody of its ornamentation, then it will kind of lose its essence. So, what does that mean? Let's listen to an example to figure out how that works. Okay, we're going to listen to a movie song, and that movie song has a lot of beautiful ornamentation going for it in its melody. Let's listen to it.
கொஞ்ச நாள் பொறு தலைவா ஒரு வஞ்சி கொடி இங்கே வருவா கண்ணீரண்டில் போர் தொடுப்பார் அந்த வெண்ணிலவ தோக்கடிப்பார்.
Now, how will this melody sound if it were to be played without its ornamentation? Say if it is played on a keyboard that doesn't have a pitch bender, which means it would be almost impossible to produce all the oscillations and glides that were there in this original melody. So let's see how that would sound. As you heard, without the ornamentation, it becomes quite hard to recognize it, right? And the melody almost loses its spirit. Now, ornamentation can also play an important role in providing rich emotional content to the melody. How does that work? Let's listen to a lullaby and look at how the beautiful glides and oscillations bring out the emotional flavor of the lullaby.
Talelo, 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 talelo. Talelo, talelo, talelo.
Wasn't that beautiful? The gentle glides and oscillations like bring a beautiful picture of putting a baby to sleep. Now, if the oscillations were to be done slightly differently, then it would give a completely different effect. Like you could even end up waking up the baby, for example. The ornamentation examples we heard are obvious ones, and of course there are a lot of subtle ornamentation that also produce a lot of subtle effects. Okay? Let's summarize. We saw two important aspects of ornamentation. Number one, they are part of the core melodic identity, at least in Indian music. Number two, ornamentation brings out a lot of rich emotional flavor to the melody. We also saw how ornamentation is like an accent. Now, different groups of people have different accents. If you were to extend that analogy further to melodies and ornamentation, what would that be like? Are there like a group of melodies that share some common notes and characteristics and ornamentation? If so, what would that be called and what would that sound like? Let's talk about it, and welcome to the Joy of Music.
மண்ணு புகழ் கோசலை